Welcome to the switch statement section. In this section, we're going to be talking about what a switch statement is, which is basically a cleaner, more efficient way to write out an if-else-if check. So if your script has more than one if-else check, probably you could be using a switch statement instead. It's just easier to read, kind of easier to use. So in this video, I'm going to explain what a switch statement is and how to declare it, and it'll get you set up for the next few videos, which will go through some challenges, and you can get some practice using it. So take a look at this script here. This script is an enemy selector script, which let's think about it as if you're writing a script for a game where maybe your main character is walking through an area, like a dungeon or something, and different enemies can spawn, and maybe this script is in charge of deciding which enemy to spawn next, right? So we have three integers up at the top, a ghost, a bug, and a flying flaming skeleton head, which is 0, 1, and 2. We have an integer, which is which enemy we're spawning next, and then in update we have two keys. One, which is space key, that will randomly choose between 0, 1, or 2, remember because 3 is exclusive, and that will choose between our ghost, our bug, and our flying flaming skeleton head. And then our Q key, which picks an enemy that's an invalid selection, just so we can test, right? Then here we have our if else checks. So if it's 0, it will print out a message letting us know we're spawning a ghost. 1 is the bug, 2 is the flying flaming skeleton head, and then else is the invalid enemy selected. So let me go into Unity and show you how this works. On my cube, I have the enemy selector script attached, and let's go ahead and hit play so you can see what this looks like. Okay, so I've hit space, and now our enemy spawn is 2, which is the flying flaming skeleton head. So it's printing out messages based on what we've selected. A ghost, a bug, or a flying one, right? So like hitting space a whole bunch of times cycles between those 3 random ones. And then if I go back and I hit Q, now it's printing invalid enemy selected. Cool, so that's how this program works, right? But now I'm going to show you how to take this and convert it into a switch statement instead. So a switch statement checks a condition just like an if-else statement. And the way you declare it is you write switch, and then you open up parentheses, and that parentheses takes in the condition that you're checking against, and then we open up curly brackets. So in this parentheses, the thing we're checking is what is our enemy to spawn next, right? And switch statements take something that's called cases. So what we would do is we would write out case, and then we would write out what cases there are. So we have case 0, and that's our ghost, right? Case 0. And then there's a colon after the 0. And then on this line is where we would write spawning a ghost. And then at the end of every case, we do need a break. That's why it was underlined in red. Our next case, we have case 1, which is our bug. And here, I'm just going to copy this, right? So case 1 is the bug, and then we have our break statement. And we have case 2 is our flaming flying skeleton guy. So here I'm going to copy this over and break. So those are our 3 cases. And what happens if I hit the Q key and there's something that's outside of our case 0, 1, or 2? That's actually our default case. And all we do here is we put default, and underneath this you can also run some code as well. So I'm going to put the invalid enemy selected, and then once again, of course, break. And what the break keyword is the break keyword is telling the computer, all right, we're done here. So after it runs whatever this code is, it will stop checking, it will exit this part of the script, and the loop will run again and again. So this right here, this is the exact same thing as all of this. And the thing is, it's a bit easier to read. You can see that we're switching through our enemy to spawn next, and this is basically like if it's 0, 1, or 2. And we can easily see what's happening in here. Versus this right here, which is just a little bit more wordy, a little bit more redundant, and it works exactly the same way. So I'm going to delete all of this, and this program is exactly the same. So if I hit save and we were to run and test it again, the program would function exactly the same. And there we have it. On our cube, it's currently 0, and it's saying spawning a ghost. If I hit space, it's now 1, 0, 1. Eventually we'll get a 2. There we go. We've got a 2, and it's correctly printing out that information. And if I hit Q, invalid enemy selected. Great. So it works exactly the same. And the general guideline is that if you're using more than one if-else statement, that you should probably convert it to a switch statement. It works exactly the same. It's just a little cleaner and a little bit easier to use. Okay, so in the next set of videos, we're going to be getting into a few challenges that will test your knowledge of switch statements. Okay. See you in the next one.